I am game to go to Indiana with you. I think we should go. Gen Con is there. Gen Con is billed as the largest tabletop game convention in North America.
That sounds like a blast. That sounds really fun.
It would be a lot of fun to go to with you. I think we would enjoy that.
Where do we stay?
At the Four Seasons. August 1st through August 4th.
Oh, we're there.
I believe the best chicken wings in the world are in Indiana.
Is that right?
So it's called Chatham's Tap, and they're lovely. So we get to go do that.
I did just look up Indiana Four Seasons. There is no Four Seasons in Indiana. So we might be camping.
So I'm assuming we're staying in a tent. There's no Four Seasons. The next option on my list is tent. I'm staying in one of those camps they used to run in Arizona for the jailed prisoners. Okay, great. Yeah, we'll stay in tents.
Quiet, please.
I love you. What? There's no peninsula? Jeff, there's no water. There's no water there. Of course there's no peninsula. It's not even an option.
In 4, 3, 2.
Presents a truly terrible podcast. Welcome to Nonsense Season 2, Episode 22. I'm Jeff Parker.
I'm CJ Little.
This is our take on the week's business, tech, and entertainment headlines. This time, we'll look at things we usually overlook.
Which is good because, we've been overlooking them.
It's D-Day today. Today, we remember the brave men and women who helped fight a strategically planned and well-executed battle that ultimately led to the end of the Second World War. More than 75 years after the end of World War II, these memories remain fresh to the over 300,000 living U.S. veterans of the war. We are so fortunate to be able to remember and honor them as we reflect on D-Day, June 6th, 1944.
Anytime I'm doing really anything that sort of I'm grumpy about, driving on the freeway in traffic, having to wait in line at the DMV,
sure.
I just kind of think about this and I'm like, at least there's not Germans shooting bullets at my head.
Yeah, at least you didn't have to do that.
We kind of have it really fucking easy. You don't have to go back but 100 years for perspective.
Those people are heroic.
And granted, you got plenty of global perspective right now.
Sure.
Of people that are living much harder lives than us. But we got on a boat and just stormed the beach while getting fucking shot at.
Absolute heroes.
We're also running out of D-Dayers too, right? We're so far away from that. There can't be that many left.
Yeah, I would imagine, yeah. How's your week going?
Well, now it's pretty fucking good compared to D-Day.
Because you're not in D-Day?
Yeah, I'm not, to my knowledge, I'm not being drafted anytime soon. My week has been lovely. It is the end of school.
Oh, yeah?
As you know, we are coming up on summer here in the Northern Hemisphere.
Okay.
Which I also heard is hurricane season.
Could be.
Yeah, I read that somewhere. My children are all getting out of school for the first time. It's the first time both my kids are in school, based on their young age. They're getting out.
Sure.
And my oldest son's school does this Spirit Games Olympics thing where they take the whole elementary school and they split them up into teams by color.
Wait, what?
That sounds racist. They take the whole school. That's not the way I meant it. All right, white kids, go. No. Fuck, what are we doing?
Okay, no, that's not what you meant.
No, what I meant was, no. They take the whole elementary school and they have 3 different colored teams. They've got the red team, the blue team, the yellow team, and they put the kids all from, each grade, a mixed bag of them into each color team. And then they compete playing these really fun
I love it.
games that anywhere from a 5-year-old up to a 10-year-old can compete in.
Yeah.
And it's really fun and the kids had an amazing time. They asked for parents that could come take pictures and photograph it. And I said, absolutely, I would love to. And I think I snapped nearly 3,000 photos over a day and a half, most of which were garbage, but the 20% that weren't were really, really fun. And we put together a slideshow and the kids loved it. And I had a great time. You cannot leave this experience grumpy. I was sore. I was sore as shit.
Sure.
After the first day, I realized 2 things I needed to bring with me. Earplugs.
Oh, yeah.
Because when you have 300 5 to 10-year-olds screaming in an enclosed space,
sure,
your ears want to bleed. And then the second thing I brought were knee pads.
Oh, yeah,
because
yeah.
I kept wanting to shoot at their level.
Their eye level,
and I dropped
sure.
to my knees so many times, and my legs were so sore, my knees were so sore that I literally brought knee pads. And the next day, people were just looking at me like, what the fuck's with the knee pads? I'm like, just watch a little. Trust
Photography,
me.
dude.
Trust me. I did tell the joke that was how I put myself through college, which several of the dads laughed at, but it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. My kid had a great time. All the kids were super fun. They're so cute at this age to just take a bunch of pictures of. It was a blast.
My kid also had an Olympics when he was that age,
Yeah.
and the great thing about it was divided into 6 teams, and only one of the teams won, and
Sure.
all the other 5 lost and would just be sobbing.
Did they also distribute them by color?
I don't remember exactly how they were split up, but they were split up into groups, and the great thing was
Yeah.
the majority of them, the vast majority of them, went home crying.
They're teaching life lessons, just a crushing loss.
Totally.
Just a crushing blow that is
Totally.
life. Here's how this works.
And one group, of course, got just ribbons and trophies,
Yep.
and just
Yep.
they got to
Yep.
go out and get applauded, and
Yep.
everyone else is in tears.
How about you? How's your week going?
As you know, we had a pipe burst at the house, and so now demo is done.
Yep, not a euphemism.
Everything is thoroughly dried out, so now we're waiting for the next step, which is, hopefully drywall,
Yeah.
hopefully happening soon. That's hard to say.
Soon.
It does feel like I'll be telling you
Yeah.
about this reconstruction in season 10 of this show.
I do think this is going to take some time. The good news is, I'm sure right as you're rounding the corner and you're doing the finishing touches, the cabinetry, the pulls on the drawers, as soon as that's done, another pipe will burst.
We should mention the next couple weeks is going to be a little different from
Yeah.
usual. The program coming out on the 13th of June will be shorter than our usual ones, but it will be an update on Apple's WWDC.
I'll be there.
One of us is going to Apple's well, now you know. Now, one of us is going to Apple's WWDC. It will be CJ.
The other one of us will be going to the National Hurricane Convention in Florida to get all the new news on the Hurricane Category 6 they're thinking about launching.
I'm never going to hear the end of that, am I?
Faster winds and up to 2 gigabyte throughput, Category 6.
On the 20th of June, there will be no show, but we expect to be back in full force on the 27th.
I will be camping with my children during that time.
Where are you going to camp? Where are you going?
We're going to the beach. We've never done beach camping. We're going to pop a trailer up right at the beach and try to spend 7 days in the sand at the beach. I don't know how we're going to do it. I feel like my kids are going to get bored to tears, but I think it's going to be a blast.
I have done that with my parents, not intense or anything, but in large motorhomes.
4 seasons.
And it was super fun. It was
really
it was
great.
Incredibly fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Your kids are in for a good time.
Some other kids will be there, so it should be great.
Let's get to our headlines.
Let's do it.
China lands on the moon again, taking another step towards human missions. China landed a spacecraft on the moon this weekend for the 4th time, successfully placing its Chang'e 6 lander in the South Pole on the far side of the moon.
Is the South Pole on the far side of the moon? Isn't the South Pole, at the bottom?
Moon geography. You'd think that would be my Jeopardy category.
Moon geography?
Yeah, it is not.
Name one spot on the moon. Are they just going back to pick up the shit that Neil left there? Is that what they're basically going back for?
They want to find the golf ball.
They're going to go find the golf ball. Oh my God. That's the funniest thing I've ever heard. They just have like the little pusher thing that they walk around at the driving range.
Yes.
And they're just walking the whole moon to find that one golf ball. Neil, we got your golf ball.
They're determined to not leave it a mess.
I mean, this is interesting that they're going back to the moon. I'm assuming the moon, you need to sort of figure out how to get to the moon easily with humans before you can go farther to other, planets or whatever. Is that the plan?
they're going to build an entire lunar compound. They're going to make a place where humans can go and do research.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know why you'd want your research on the moon, but I guess maybe lower gravity or something.
Other libraries are really nice there, I've heard.
The libraries are great. Yeah.
London hospitals declare emergency following ransomware attack.
Yeah,
A ransomware attack that crippled a London-based medical testing and diagnostics provider has led several major hospitals in the city to declare a critical incident emergency and cancel non-emergency surgeries and pathology appointments.
So this seems to be becoming a thing, which makes a hell of a lot of sense. And I'm assuming that you either have a convenient path in, right? There's only a handful of software providers for these guys. So
Maybe they shouldn't be in the software business because this is not working out.
yeah, I would think that like an Epic, right, which is I think the largest EMR provider on the planet.
Yeah.
I would think if they had a bunch of holes in their shit, there'd be a lot more exploits than this. I don't think that's necessarily the problem. It's probably more the tier 2 providers. But also more importantly, now if you've worked in technology as you and I have for most of our lives, there aren't good people in IT. The good people that you meet in IT, the smart ones,
Move on quickly
because IT is a really hard and really kind of terrible job. I shouldn't say there aren't any. There are still some good folks certainly in IT, but I think the vast majority of them are not great.
You see from time to time IT stars, but they get snapped up by the really big companies quickly.
Not to get too deep on this, but like how much of it is the software? How much is the implementation of the software? My hunch is it's implementation.
This is clearly not working.
Better IT.
Sure.
Maybe the answer is you have a white hat AI that you just unleash on your current implemented shit, and it just goes and finds the things.
Sure.
I think the answer here, the real answer is you just have AWS spin up a medical testing and diagnostics provider. Problem solved.
That would be great.
No fucking reason they can't. Enough of these break. They could do it. It's just another system.
Google changes repair policy after criticism of third-party parts ban.
Well, that's just fun to say. Third-party parts ban?
You can't send Google any devices with non-Google authorized parts. They don't even return it to you if you do.
Yes, I'm fine with this.
No.
Okay, what if the analog to this was you bring your Toyota in for service and they're like, that battery's not Toyota, we're not giving you your car back.
Exactly.
They're like, what the fuck? And they're like, sorry, man. Meanwhile, the service manager's out joyriding in it, just riding around with all his free cars that he got from the captures.
Going, wow, this battery's great. This thing always starts so easily.
I have no horse in the race on returning the thing. Like, I just think it's shitty that they have to send back stuff that people send in knowing it wouldn't get repaired, trying to, sneak one by the man. The part that I am totally okay with is them not repairing anything with unauthorized parts. You got to use something that meets the spec. And I think that's completely reasonable.
That might not be the problem. I mean, literally, you might have replaced a piece of memory, and the problem isn't that at all. The problem is the power supply.
I mean, I guess, again, the analog in the car world is if you replace something, they can't just say that that's not factory. My understanding of the law is, here, at least here in the U.S., they can't can't deny your warranty coverage unless they can prove that the part made the other thing fail.
That's the right way to do it.
Yeah, do I need Google to go through this shit for my $1,000 phone? I don't know.
Chinese EV makers and their connected vehicles targeted by new House bill. If allowed into our markets, Chinese connected vehicles offer the Chinese government a treasure trove of valuable intelligence on the United States, including the potential to collect information on our military bases, critical infrastructure like power grid and traffic systems, and even locate specific U.S. leaders should they so choose, said U.S. Representative E. Lisa Slotkin in a statement released Wednesday. China owns a fast-growing share of the connected auto market in Europe and Mexico, so now is the time to make sure our defenses are up before those vehicles enter the U.S. market.
Again, no surprise to you and our listeners. I subscribe to this. I think this is a good call.
You're with Elisa.
I'm with Elisa. Don't give up more sensitive on the ground data where you have no ability to sort of control its flow.
Have you ever seen Google Maps.cn?
Yeah, no, shh, don't. You don't want these guys to know about maps.google.cn. That'll break their fucking brain. I know.
We kind of give away all this information as it is.
Yeah. Also, I also like the next bill's going to be introduced that we're going to ban satellites from flying over the U.S. from China.
Exactly.
Good luck.
You're so upset about electric cars. No, you're trying to be protectionist is what you're trying to do.
I don't think it's quite that easy. I do think you get a more sensitive bit of information by having little autonomous or potentially autonomous.
There's a bump on 3rd Street?
You have
Come on.
you have these like potentially autonomous drones now running around on the ground.
Every car manufacturer is using every sensor they have to gather data about you.
Okay.
And then they're selling it.
Sure.
You can literally just write a check and get this data.
Yeah, but that's okay to rat out the Americans. You don't want to rat out America.
There are satellite images of pretty much everything here. We're not good at hiding things. We're not even trying.
Google Earth isn't a thing. Don't go look at it.
Elon Musk once mocked China's BYD. Now it's running circles around Tesla. BYD, a car maker Musk once laughed at, overtook Tesla at the end of last year as the top seller of electric vehicles. Now it's giving Toyota a run for its money, unveiling a new hybrid that's capable of taking you from New York to Miami without refueling.
It's hurricane powered.
That's 1,300 miles in one go, hundreds of miles beyond the standard ranges for other hybrids on the market. That's why BYD, which makes both EVs and hybrids, is now eating Tesla's lunch on the global stage.
I do think they have gotten a lot better than we expected, but like, dude, Buffett doesn't bet on losers. Like what?
Charlie Munger.
Yeah,
actually,
it was Munger, right? Yeah, I guess it was
Charlie's
Munger.
bet.
Like this is not really a surprise to me.
A decade ago, Musk responded to a question about BYD rivaling Tesla with a smug laugh. Have you seen their car? He went on to say BYD's product is not particularly attractive and that the technology is not very strong. Musk ate his words this January, saying on an earnings call that he believes Chinese EV makers could pretty much demolish most other car companies in the world unless stronger trade barriers are put in place.
Well, I mean, that just sounds like speaking to protectionism right there.
Those barriers, by the way, were put in 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, right? I mean, we're staring down the barrel of like 100% tariff on some of these things, the lower end ones, not all of them.
Okay, enough with the headlines. Up next, we're going to talk about various things we've underrated.
Like my total washlet.
Oh, my word. Those are so underrated.
My father-in-law saw one and he said, electricity and water don't mix.
Yeah, they do.
And then 2 months later, that fucker asked me which one I had so he could buy one. Actually, he asked his wife to ask my wife which one we had.
Exactly.
So that he could get the same one. I was like, you son of a bitch. Of course you wanted one.
They're amazing.
They're amazing.
All right, let's go.
So our listeners have told us that they like our discussion topics, the ones that you normally do. Right?
You mean they don't like when I just rant on about the weather like a lunatic?
Oh, no, I think Gmail was down that day. We didn't get any email about the weather. Nobody was like, oh, I do more hurricanes. So do more weather.
I needed something visual. I think it was so hard to describe those things without visuals. This is North America. This is South America.
Yeah.
You can't see what these two blobs look like. When the wind blows through here.
I didn't share all the email we got where they're like, hey, do fog next. Can you guys do fog?
Exactly.
Fog would be super interesting. So anyway, I think the nice way I'm trying to say this to you is that our listeners
always kid glove me.
Like our discussion topics, specifically the ones that aren't about weather, I think is their point.
Is that it?
Yeah. So today...
Or bugs. No more bugs, no more weather.
The bugs is pretty awesome because, I mean, granted, we knew this, 17 years ago coming into it, but it does feel somewhat prophetic. And now I see like people, all these, cicadas everywhere.
Everybody's sending me cicada video. I've never gotten so much cicada love.
Amazing. Okay, so today I want to take a stab at a discussion topic that I thought might be fun.
Okay.
If we were to just talk about underrated things from our everyday life that we just take for granted.
Yes.
Things, objects, items, concepts, whatever. Stuff that we take for granted.
Right.
Now, we've never done this before. And we haven't seen each other's lists, so we're going to just go, back and forth. I don't know what's going to happen.
By the way, tell you on my list, I eliminated things like the power of a good night's sleep, the joy of a simple meal.
Oh, fuck.
Sex with strangers. I took those off.
So should I take them off mine? I don't know. What do I do now?
You can have them on yours. I just thought those seem like, kind of obvious things.
Okay, so this isn't going great so far.
The satisfaction of a job well done. I've never had that experience, but I'll believe you that that's a satisfying thing.
So clearly this is not going to go as I thought it would. Maybe we should share lists next time beforehand. I thought we would just go back and forth and see how we get along. I'm hoping we've picked some specific things that are kind of similar, but not the same. And most importantly, not too generic.
Clearly our lists are not going to be the same.
Well, I think it's important for them to be specific and just not too...
I have a runner-up item just so we can start with like an example of the kinds of things that I'm going to list. And if you have a runner-up item, then you could
do it first.
Just so we can have some idea where this is going.
All right, I'll go first.
What do you got?
Air.
Okay. Specifically air? Or
I did this whole fucking paragraph lead in to try to get to the joke of air, and you just kept stepping on it constantly.
I'm so sorry.
You're like,
I'm so
sorry. I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to throw the punchline out and see what happens. I just wanted to laugh on air. That's all I wanted. I'm a simple man.
Yes, you are.
Okay, you want to start with some softballs. Probably.
No, I was just going to give you a runner-up, an example of what this is going to be like.
Okay.
I mean, you gave me one. Air, that was good.
No, that was the joke.
That's not really on your list, is it?
No.
Okay, great.
I mean, maybe.
Now you're embarrassed to say it's on your list?
Fuck, I don't want to show you any of my list. I want to start the segment over. I mean, here's the thing about fog. It just comes from the ocean and just sits down.
Here's my example. Here's my runner-up.
Yeah, please. I can't wait. It's going to be great.
A snoring dog.
Okay, a snoring dog is an underrated thing.
That is a really underrated thing. For me, snoring to me is nature's white noise.
Okay.
Forget sounds of the ocean or rain in a forest, those things you play to help you sleep. To me, nothing makes me sleep harder, more soundly than the sound of snoring. It is magic.
We have apparently different natures because in my world, nature's white noise is a 6-year-old and 4-year-old fighting. That is basically the white noise of my life.
You don't hear them anymore. It's just background sound.
And you know what helps me sleep? Lots and lots of booze. Basically, that's how I get through my day to make sure when the fighting stops, I can sleep.
When my dog starts snoring, I just go out cold.
Because it's basically like a soft, furry metronome, right?
Yeah, pretty much. It's just lovely.
Just snoring away.
Fantastic.
Okay, so in a similar vein of that, I'll call this my runner-up. I was going to say attentive listeners.
Attentive listeners. When people listen to you attentively.
Yeah. This is something you and I don't excel in, but other people...
No, I was going to say... What show do you think you're recording?
I'm assuming there are people out there that are attentive listeners. Okay, so snoring dog, attentive listeners.
Very good.
Those are good.
All right, so these are underrated things, and we each have lists of them, and we're going to alternate.
Just things you take for granted, because if you think about a world without them, then it's a darker place.
Okay, fair enough.
So my first real one, speaking of darker place, streetlights.
It's literally a darker place.
We haven't had streetlights for really that long, if you think about it.
No, it hasn't been long at all. Well, they used to be lit. They used to actually used to be fire burning in a globe. Yeah. Thank goodness that's not the case anymore.
Sure. I mean, you must have gotten burnt many times going to school. I think they act like boys would walk people with torches, and they were called it was lit boys or something. There's some term for them, but they would actually carry a torch. It was
what I was laughing at was the term lit boys.
Oh, that means something different now.
Has a very different connotation now.
To my knowledge, the first streetlight as we sort of know it today, stationary.
Yes.
16th century.
Yeah, probably.
So it's really not that old if you think about it.
Although stationary and fixed, yeah, that's true. If you had people walking around with
fire, you had fire, yeah, I understand.
You probably could see, sure.
Well, yeah.
It's basically a flashlight. A really, really smelly flashlight.
Yeah, sure. What's nuts to me that was pre-streetlights, you just stayed in at night. You didn't go out.
Oh, I like that idea. I think we've made a horrible mistake with this invention.
I knew I'd get you somewhere in there. All right. Are you going to try to slip this into the new Green Deal? You'd be like, look, turn all the fucking lights off at night. Everybody stays home. Yeah. Having raced at night on tracks with headlights, with, quote, properly set up headlights for racing, it is amazing how little you can see.
Yeah.
You get to the point where it does. And I did our first endurance night race. Nobody on my team wanted to take the first shift. I took the first night shift. It was incredible because after maybe 10 or 15 laps, Jesus just kind of takes the wheel. You just, I'm not kidding. You just start turning and you don't know why because you can't see.
Yeah, you basically have no peripheral vision. It's almost like having no peripheral vision.
You drive the car's headlights in front of you because their headlights are sweeping across the turn. You can see. So you're like, why is this guy going so fast?
Yeah.
Then you pass them and you're like, oh, because you're fucking blind when you're in front.
Yeah.
And then at some point you just know, I've been going down the straight for this long. You just turn and you turn and then you just hope the turn is there when you turn and then it is.
Sure.
It's amazing. Anyway, crazy. crazy. Sometimes when I take the kids out camping, if it's like a full moon, I'll drive them out at night with no headlights on at all. And it's awesome because you have, the full moon is pretty damn bright and your eyes
Wow, that sounds dangerous.
We're not going like fast. Like we're, like 20 miles an hour or whatever, but it's really cool.
And it's someplace where there's no other cars.
There's no cars. There's no people. You're on the middle of, nowhere. It's pretty cool.
It's one of my favorite openings to a movie, Twilight Zone.
Oh, yeah.
Dan Aykroyd and Albert Brooks are in this car and they're driving down the street in the middle of the night. And he says, "You want to see something scary?" Yeah. And he turns off the headlights and they're driving down the road, full speed with no headlights. And they're going, "Oh, no, don't do that. Turn it back on, turn it back on." Then he does something really scary. And you want to see something really scary? And he turns into this werewolf. It's great.
Nice. So anyway, streetlights is how I'm starting off this segment.
And so you also want a creation date. You also want when this thing kind of first came around.
Sure. I just need
That's
shit to
part
talk
of this
about.
too?
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
The first thing that came to my mind, because I do it first thing in the morning just to kind of like get my brain in gear.
Brush your teeth.
Well, I like that too. I like that a lot. I didn't put it on my list. Maybe I've made a mistake here. Puzzles.
Oh, yeah.
I love puzzles. I love doing strands. I love doing forward connections. I like the mini crossword puzzle in the New York Times. I like doing sixlets. I do them to keep my brain sharp.
Sure.
My father does, the New York Times crossword puzzle and some other crossword puzzle every day to keep his brain sharp. He turns 90 in a month and his brain is razor sharp.
That's amazing.
I want that. That's what I want. So, and I enjoy doing them too. It's also, I pretend like I'm eating gruel so that I can be healthy later in life. No, that's not true. I'm having fun while I'm doing it.
When do you think it'll start to work?
My brain will get sharper. I'm hoping soon. I'm
assuming it's like a series of whetstones. You're starting with a higher grit now, and then you're going to go to, or a lower grit, and you're going to go to a higher grit. Is that how it goes?
Crossing my fingers. I really am. I also have a group of people that I share the results with, and
yes,
you're on that
one
list.
Of them.
Yeah.
And it's constantly flex. It's constant.
It's really fun because, there's sometimes when I struggle with one or somebody else struggles with one, and it's just great. I like the social aspect of it too.
Sure, we should invite some listeners in so they can also feel how much inferior I am to you with your postings.
You are not inferior at all. That's crazy.
I think don't Affleck and Damon have like some shared group where they do like Wordle and Quaturtle and they do like 4 things a day. I think it's less aggressive than yours, where I get everyone like, if you've ever played Wordle or really any of these games that Jeff is talking about, there's a way to share it that shows you how like that they've completed it. And most people just go, "Oh, hey, look, I completed the thing."
Sure.
Not Jeff. Everyone is perfect. Like, I'm pretty sure he just cuts and pastes it from like a scratch pad somewhere.
Sure.
Just cut and paste. And I'm just like, "Oh, you found the spanogram first. Of course you did. Of course you fucking did."
Everybody thinks that's crazy. Spanogram is the easiest thing to find. It's the biggest thing on the puzzle. He's talking about a puzzle called Strands. That's the New York Times. To me, the spanograms, because the most obvious thing to find because it's the biggest. It takes up the most space across the puzzle.
Or you could be like a regular person and be finding like the word "the" and "dust" and all this other random shit that doesn't match. And meanwhile, Jeff's like, "Oh, here's the spanogram right here in the middle, and all the words." I'm like, "God damn it! All right, fine."
Possibly because we see the puzzles differently. One day I'm going to do a segment on this. I am dyslexic, and so when I read something, it's very different than when you read something. You're scanning the word.
Interesting.
You're scanning the word, and you're reading it. You got right there. Here's the word. I'm scanning the letters, and I'm solving the puzzle of what this. Just when I'm reading, not even doing anything else. I have to read and then solve every single time. So I look at things differently than you do.
Yeah, I bet. I wonder. Well, I mean, everybody does. I wonder if your dyslexia helps you because the words are all jumbled up, and if you're seeing them jumbled up,
it does help me in the actual jumble puzzle.
Interesting.
That part is quite true.
Yeah. Of course. I love that you're doing puzzles to keep your mind sharp. I would appreciate that. I just want my short-term memory back, and I feel like the only way to do that is to like put my children somewhere else, like in a different state.
You know what? No, it doesn't come back. Even when your kids fly the coop.
So this is it.
The short-term memory is gone.
All the memories I have are the ones I'm going to have. This is it.
Yep.
It's just over. As it turns out, 640K is enough for anybody.
The first jigsaw puzzle, I believe, was created in 1760.
Okay. Wow, that's way later than I would have thought.
That's as close as I can get to a start date for puzzles. Surely there were riddles and things like that before then.
Do you still do jigsaw puzzles?
I love jigsaw puzzles.
Yeah,
I almost never get a chance to, but I absolutely love jigsaw puzzles.
I used to do them with my grandmother quite a bit, and I like have fond memories of rainy days doing puzzles with her in Michigan when I was a kid. And I started doing them with my boys, and they seem to like them, which has been great.
What's not to like?
I don't know.
All right, your turn. Go.
Adjacent to puzzles, maybe hook and loop fasteners.
Like Velcro?
Velcro.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, Velcro's amazing.
That is something we totally take for granted, and it hasn't been around that long, like 1940s-ish.
People talk about the eighth wonder of the world. The eighth wonder of the world is Velcro.
Is Velcro?
Sure.
NASA uses it. Did not invent it, by the way.
Yeah.
It is often attributed to NASA, but I think NASA made it real. Listen to this. Each space shuttle flew equipped with 10,000 inches of a special fastener made of Teflon loops and polyester hooks. 10,000 inches.
Is that how they you're sealing the doors closed with a little Velcro?
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Yes, that's exactly how they did it. They ran out of money when it came to the door sealing budget, and they just rolled over to the Home Depot and they're like, "What do you have for doors?
Picked up some
How can you
Velcro.
help us?" Also, I didn't know this until I was thinking about Velcro. Hook and loop fasteners held together a human heart during the first artificial heart surgery.
Very different hook and loop fasteners.
Sure, okay,
But yes, I get the idea.
the point is, it's pretty cool.
I have an embarrassing amount of Velcro strewn about my house.
Why?
Earthquake.
Oh.
Everything is earthquake.
Holding stuff. Yeah, that makes sense. Do you just pull a Letterman and what was like 84 and just go run and stick yourself against the wall?
No.
Do you remember when he did that?
The Velcro suit,
I
sure.
should put that in the show notes. Yeah, and like also like airplanes and car interiors are pretty much all Velcro these days.
Yeah.
Like it's just like there's a special Velcro made carpet that has the loop backing on it, and they just roll it out in the airplane and it just sticks to the hook stuff on the floor. It's pretty cool.
And if you want to clean it, you can pull it up really easily
Totally.
and pull it out, and that's nice.
It's pretty amazing. I also love that the quote good stuff, like it works when it's wet.
Oh, sure.
I feel like we take that for granted as well. Like if you have like a surfboard leash or bodyboard leash, like it works wet. That just kind of fascinates me.
Of course it does.
I'm just like, oh, look at that. It's wet. It just keeps working.
Yeah.
It was first postulated in the 40s. The guy that invented it, it took a minute. Everybody thought he was nuts. The first couple they did out of cotton, which didn't last very long. They weren't durable.
Sure.
They started looking at polyester threads. And the big breakthrough that they had was that you couldn't make the hooks and the loops separately. They wouldn't attach well. They wouldn't line up. He figured out that you make two sets of loops and then you cut one of the sets of loops. So then you've got the same size loops and then they match up.
That's interesting. That's awesome.
And the hooks are cut loops. It's pretty cool. And then I think they call it indeterminate fastening, which is what's really interesting because like it obviously doesn't line up. So you have this indeterminate fastening that connects.
That's awesome.
Hook and loop.
Who knew?
Yeah.
I like that.
It's no hurricanes, but it's close.
My next one is much lower tech.
Well, wow, hook and loop's not exactly high tech.
This is my Kindle.
Your Kindle's pretty techy.
Compared to hook and loop, not really. All it is books, and I love the fact that I can throw a Kindle in my backpack.
And have the world's knowledge. Yeah.
Yes, the world's knowledge.
It's incredible.
It makes me so happy.
Sure.
This is the dumbest thing. It literally follows me upstairs.
Sure.
It follows me to my office.
Yep.
Everybody goes, "Where's my keys? Where's my wallet?" And for me, it's like, "Where's my Kindle?
Where's my Kindle?"
Always.
Very not loosely, tightly related to that. E-paper. We spend all day staring at backlit screens. It's so refreshing to stare at paper-esque.
E-ink is absolutely a miracle.
That stuff is really lovely.
Yeah.
Like I have bought some to screw. I haven't done anything with it, but to screw around with like home tech, like home automation stuff, where you can just have a display that's on that's not emitting light. I think that's really, really cool.
First Kindle was released by Amazon in 2007. That's my invention date for it.
Was that the first e-paper reader? No, there was some before that, I'm assuming.
As far as I know, it was the first popular one.
Yeah. Remember Barnes & Noble had some like shitty competitor where they're like, we're going to make these too. They sold 6 of them.
The Nook.
Yeah.
Did they? I have no idea.
Not a lot. I remember I think my sister-in-law bought one, and I was like, I think you bet on the wrong horse. You bought Betamax.
I upgrade my Kindle. I used to upgrade my Kindle every year. I now, they're so good now.
They're so good.
I probably upgrade it every 3 or 4 years. And even then, it's like, really? Do I need to upgrade this?
You make it smaller, stronger, lighter, waterproof.
The newest one I got had waterproofing, and that actually is useful.
I haven't bought that one yet, but that'll probably be the next one I get.
Yeah.
Not that I can ever sit down anywhere and do anything with my children. But
Your day will come. Your day will come.
Okay, I'll go. Indicators, turn signals.
Oh, okay.
Indicator lights.
Super handy, super useful.
Roughly speaking, 1920s, give or take. Super interesting to me, invented by an actress, Florence Lawrence. First of all, fun to say.
Is that a real name?
Florence Lawrence.
Or is that
her name
or
is
is
Florence
that a
Lawrence.
stage name? Florence Lawrence.
It was the 20s. She was the first actress to get her name above the title, which I think is pretty cool.
Who was her agent who negotiated that for her?
I don't know.
First of all, what did Florence Lawrence... This kid's name
It's
can't
fun.
be real.
Say it.
What did
It's a lot of fun.
Florence Lawrence star in? What are the big things on Florence Lawrence's IMDb page?
Does IMDb cover the 1915 films?
Oh, I think IMDb covers everything.
See what the Rotten Tomato score is for The Silence. Florence Lawrence was a Canadian-American stage performer and film actress. She's often referred to as the first movie star and was long thought to be the first film actor to be named publicly until evidence published in 2019 indicated the first named film star was French actor Max Linder. She was known as the Biograph Girl for work as one of the leading ladies in silent films from the Biograph Company. She appeared in almost 300 films for various motion pictures.
Florence Lawrence.
It's a real name.
And she invented the turn signal.
Apparently, so she invented this thing.
Auto signaling arm.
Yeah, it's the auto signaling arm.
A predecessor of the modern turn signal.
She said that when, quote, when placed on the back of the fender, it can be raised and lowered by an electrical push button. The brake arm was designed to work automatically when the pedal was pushed. Remember at the time, before you had turn signals and brake lights,
you did it with your arm.
You put your hand out the window. This basically emulated that and was put on the back of the car.
She also had the first brake signal.
I think so. I think that was part of it.
Yeah.
The reason that she did this, by the way, which I think is compelling, she was a movie star. She had a bunch of money. And by 1915, she was wealthy enough to afford her own car, which she described as, quote, almost human, which I I thought was
Almost
odd.
human.
But at the time, you didn't have a lot of women driving, right? The man drove. She was like this problem solver. It reminds me of who was the woman that did the other actress that we talk about?
Hedy Lamarr.
Hedy Lamarr. Yeah. Time sequenced coding. What was her? What did Hedy Lamarr give us?
Hedy Lamarr gave us frequency hopping.
Frequency hopping. Yeah. DSS. Turn signals. Good news, though. Fortunately, her first car that she put this on wasn't a BMW, because if it was, it clearly wouldn't have worked.
Why?
You know the joke? BMW drivers never use their turn signals?
I had no idea.
Oh, yeah. I have more than once rolled up. I mean, as a BMW fan, I have more than once rolled up to a car, typically a BMW or a Tesla, and like their windows have been on, like, hey, I think you're out of blinker fluid. Just look at me. Take that to the dealer and ask for more blinker fluid. Clearly low. Can't fucking indicate what lane you want to be in. Okay, so turn signals. This is
Turn signals. That's that very useful invention. No question.
All right, now you go.
This is highly technical.
Okay, hit me.
Tea.
Tea. Steeping.
My favorite beverage in the morning.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. There's nothing better than a good cup of tea.
Okay.
The amazing thing is all the things that we have mixed together, all the different kinds of various leaves and flavorings and things.
Sure.
We live in a world of crazy, amazing varieties of tea now. It's wonderful.
What I think might be underrated is if you think about all those varietals of tea, there's got to be 100 attempts behind each one that was terrible.
Oh, more than 100. Way more than
Like
100.
somebody made hundreds or thousands of just shitty cups of tea to be like, yeah. Now, as it turns out, if you brew cockroaches, it does not taste good. And they just had to go through a bunch of random shit to get there, right? Like, you talk about the survivor bias, the ones that made it. What about all the ones that didn't?
Date of invention, tea cultivation likely began in China around 6,000 years ago.
6,000 years ago.
That's what I hear, yeah.
That's amazing. And they put it right on AliExpress as soon as they would make it. Got posted to AliExpress. Copy tea.
It really caught on.
It did catch on pretty quickly. I am pro tea. I have become also more pro coffee, but I am pro tea.
All right, so tea, and I'm not saying caffeinated or decaf, doesn't matter. I like them both.
You like them both. All right. Well, I'm glad you're an equal opportunity.
There's
tea.
a legendary story in China about tea being discovered in 2737 BC, but I think it's a myth.
BCE, sir. BCE.
Well, the way we say it now, yes.
The way we say it now.
In my day, we would just say BC.
And Jeff's now my racist uncle. Whatever you say it now. It's a fucking Oriental rug. What do you want from me? I'm one man.
The way the kids say
No, I don't. I can't. You start getting into Gen Z speak, and I'm like, what now? What part of the word is that from? Leave my Riz out of this.
Your turn.
Okay, this is probably my favorite. I sandwiched it here in the middle. Surface plates.
Well, I don't know what a surface plate is versus a plate.
Most people don't.
Tell me what that is.
Surface plates are kind of amazing. If you didn't have surface plates, we wouldn't have anything that we have today. Here's why.
Plants, ducks, hair.
A surface plate is just a really flat thing. A super flat thing. If you want to make anything to high tolerance, like a bearing for an engine, right? Or if you want to have a lathe to turn something, you have to have tight tolerances.
Okay.
It all comes back to the surface plate. You have to make something super flat.
Yes.
So you need a super flat thing. By the way, how are we producing this show? We're using computers, which come from lithography.
Yeah.
You can't do any of those optics if you don't have a super flat thing to start with.
You think it's going to be the lens that they're shooting this thing through. It's got to be perfect.
Yeah.
They aren't even using lenses on the latest versions of lithography.
Yeah.
What they're using now is these super perfect mirrors from the Zeiss company in Germany.
I love Zeiss. I mean, I forgot the tolerances on the James Webb, but the tolerances on the mirrors on that thing were insane.
Right. Same problem.
So, but all of these things, you can't do any of this stuff if you don't have a very flat work surface to start from.
Yeah.
And we've only been making these things for a couple hundred years. You didn't have any of our modern manufacturing or any of our modern equipment if you didn't have surface plates. And here's what's really even more nuts. How do you make a surface plate? You make it by hand. These things are literally made by hand to build more precise instruments. And the way you basically do it, and this is fascinating to me, you have to make them 3 at a time. And the reason you have to make them 3 at a time is you take 2 chunks of the thing. So let's say metal, iron.
Sure.
We use black granite now, but
Yeah.
same basic concept applies. You get them really flat, and then you put, they used to use dust, and then they started using the stuff called engineering blue, which is basically a very blue pigment.
Mild abrasive.
No, you don't want it to be abrasive because you don't want to polish it. If you polish it, you end up taking away more material and not making it flat.
Oh, okay.
This is like a marker paint, right? You put it on one of the surfaces. You then rub surface A and surface B together.
Like the dentist does with my teeth. with that blue paper thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tap, 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 tap,
Yeah,
tap,
yeah,
tap.
exactly.
Yeah. So you push them together, and then it'll show you the high spots and the low spots, and then you scrape it off, and then you rotate it 90 degrees and you do it again.
Yeah.
Then you rotate it 90 degrees and you do it again. But you have to use 3 surfaces, because if you don't, you could end up with one concave and one convex.
Sure, you end up with things that mate.
The only structure that you could have mate 3 of is flat, a plane.
That's great.
So it has to be a plane. It's really fascinating. And this started around mid 1800s-ish, is sort of when Whitworth was the first guy to really come up with surface plates. If you know Whitworth from, I reference him often for the screw threads. He's like the third competing. You have metric, you have SAE,
Sure.
our American empirical standard for threads, and then Whitworth. And there's still some Whitworth running around out there, not as much as you would think. But so he created this. And now you can get these things, like you can get down to 11 or 12 micrometers tolerance across like a square meter.
Wow.
It's absolutely bonkers how flat you can get these things. So without that, you wouldn't have all this other shit.
That's cool.
Surface plates.
That's cool.
You know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Hurricanes was good. Maybe it was. I'm kind of thinking maybe that was a good segment.
You ready?
Yep.
Wireless chargers.
That's a good one. That's a recent
I love
one.
my wireless chargers. No, I've had wireless chargers for years now, but the Qi chargers have gotten so much better. Now, the one I've kind of landed on that I'm using everywhere all over the house are these stupid, cheap 25-watt chargers to get them on Amazon.com, because everybody conforms to the standard properly now.
Yeah.
Even the iPhone is finally following the regular Qi standards. They're great. They're only $20. They're absolutely fabulous. The trick with the wireless charger, by the way, you have to get the right USB cable. You have to get the right adapter.
Sure. Yeah, there's no point in having a 20-watt puck if you're putting 5 watts into the thing.
If you have a 5-watt adapter, exactly. It makes no sense. I have the Anker 67-watt USB-C wall charger, which I like.
Well, there's our Anker plug. I love Anker. Anker is pretty much the only charging apparatus I buy these days.
Is it Anker? Is that how you say it?
Sure.
Okay. We don't know either.
You say Anker? Anker?
I don't know how
I'm
you
the one
say
from
that.
Michigan. I'm the one who's saying Anchor.
Okay.
Anchor. I don't know. I think it's I like saying Anker. It makes me feel more important.
In the car, I use these Listen 90-watt USB-C chargers that have 2 USB-C ports, 45 watts each.
Yikes.
Because you're not using all of it. Most phones won't go beyond 25 watts,
Sure.
at a time.
Yeah, but dude, 90 watts. You're pulling 8 amps on that thing.
For sure. It's a great piece of kit.
That's some real
and
juice.
it's a metal casing to get rid of the heat. It's really
8 amps can get hot as fuck.
Yeah.
Make 90 watts. It's a car heater.
It's great, and they're really useful, and I love being able to plug my phone in and have them charge super fast.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm using always in both cases a proper 240-watt capable USB-C cable, because I'm a USB-C cable snob. You can't just use any cable because you won't go full speed.
Yeah. You have 0 devices that are pushing 240 watts.
No, I know,
but
but
I appreciate
you might as well buy the ones that are the best. That
Sure.
support 40
of
gigabits
course.
of data
Well,
currently.
yeah.
Thunderbolt 4. They're great.
Buy the cable you need for the thing that you need at the time, because the next one's going to
The
be
next
even
one will be
faster.
faster, right? And you can graduate your
USB
cable down to something that isn't going to need that kind of power. Don't buy one that's underpowered to begin with.
Oh yeah, of course not.
Right.
No, don't make it the limiting factor.
You have to get all 3 parts of that correct. You have to get the wireless charger device, Qi device correct. You have to get the cable correct, and you have to get the actual
charger.
wall adapter correct.
I do love that, first of all, just wireless at large is great, especially wireless charging.
Yes, exactly.
And I also just really love that we're just moving towards USB-C.
The groundwork for wireless charging can be traced back to the work of inventor Nikola Tesla.
Oh, yeah.
In the 1890s.
That's a coil.
He conducted experiments and demonstrations of wireless power transfer using electromagnetic fields. However, the technology wasn't practical for everyday use at the time.
It's really a shame his name was stolen and put on such a shitty car. Loosely related to wireless remote controls.
Oh, yeah.
Specifically TV remote controls, but remote controls.
By the way, I prefer the radio versions, not the infrared.
Yes.
Because most of my stuff is behind cabinets and things,
course.
so I need the radio version.
And that's very fashionable for you to say. I prefer the ultrasonic ones from the 1950s. The clickers. Remember when they'd call them clickers?
Oh, yeah. My grandparents had
My
those.
grandparents had those, too.
Had a TV that did that.
And you would like literally push a button and it clicked. Like, oh, it's a clicker.
It worked. Yeah.
It worked great. And if it didn't work, you got one of the kids, i.e. me, to go change the fucking channel.
Sure.
So that thing better work. Otherwise, it was my job.
That was an even more reliable remote.
Well, I don't know about that. You never really got what you wanted. I couldn't even imagine asking my children to change the channel like that. Just trying to get them to do it. Like I'm much better off just getting up and walking through a pit of lava to get there myself.
I don't think there's any way to physically change the channel if you don't have a remote on my TV. There's no buttons.
For the most part, yeah. There's like a little joystick on mine. Ultrasonic remotes for TVs, 1950s-ish. And then the IR ones that we know today, 1980s-ish. And then you saw the RF ones in like the 90s.
Remote controls.
My
My last one here is also kind of technical like that.
Okay.
And because when you first said this, I was thinking you were meaning underrated tech things.
Yeah.
And my favorite phone tablet trick that I just couldn't couldn't live without, and I just love it, is multiple user login.
Yeah.
Oh my word, that's fantastic. My kid can have my tablet. He can use my tablet. He can log on his account. He has all of his stuff set up the way he wants to, and I have all mine, and our data doesn't intermix. He doesn't have access to mine. I don't have access to his. It's like having two pieces of hardware. And my phone does the same thing, and I don't think I could live without that.
Well, is his home partition encrypted? Usually it's not.
Yeah, they're all by default. Your phone is too.
Oh,
encrypted.
phone. Sorry, I thought I was talking about machine. Yeah,
But tablets too.
Yeah.
Absolutely, that's true on my Linux machines. Yes, we are encrypted across. I can't look at, if you have an account on my computer, I can't see anything that is in your account.
Home folder's encrypted?
Yeah.
And the keys off your keychain?
Absolutely.
There you go.
The nice thing is he can have his set up the way he likes it. I can have my set up the way I like it.
No, I do. I love it. It's like multi-use hardware.
Precisely.
Because we didn't have that. Again, not that long ago, you didn't have that. You're like, there's my DOS computer. It does one thing.
By default, there's a guest. I'm sure there's on iPhone too.
Yeah, of course.
And you can hit remove guest. You just basically can clean away the entire, whoever's been using it, clean away all that data really easily.
I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure that iOS has no concept of multi-user.
That can't be true.
Pretty sure.
In 2024?
Yeah.
There's no way that's true.
Pretty sure.
One of us, if we had connection to the internet, could
If only we had a way to search.
This is why search is one of the truly useful things. While you're looking, let me just say that as far as I know, on a phone or a tablet, the first ability to have multiple users was in Android 4.2. Now, I don't know if iPhone had it before that, but that's the first Android use.
So there is something for iPads that's like temporary session, like a classroom app. It doesn't really look like this is for the masses, but I don't think there's an iPhone multi-user. I just don't like, your phone goes with you on everything. Like, what?
Yeah, I know, but if you have a little kid who needs to borrow your phone, or because you want to entertain him, and you just hand him your phone, I put him in guest mode, or I put him on his own account.
Not a supported feature. I get it. I love the idea of sharing hardware, and it's so much easier now than it's ever been, and that's kind of what those profiles enable.
It's just great.
Okay, well, that was a lot of stuff. That worked out better than I thought. What did you think of the?
I didn't begin to scratch the surface of the
We'll
stuff
do it again.
that I have that I
know there's so many more
that I underrate.
This will be fun. Or assuming our listeners like it, we should do this more. But first, we got to get through the next big week of fog. Well, then we're going to have, I think then we need to do light rain. I just want to do an episode, just a whole episode on the difference between partly cloudy and partly sunny. I'm looking forward to that. That one I'm going to circle on my calendar. I think that'll be really interesting.
Excellent. All right, we have to get out of here, but quickly before we do, did I scare you when I said that?
I'm fine.
I said every week. All right, we have to get out of here, but quickly before we do, have you seen or read anything good this last week?
You always do it with so much energy. That's what I like. You're able to just ramp right up there. Well, as I was mentioning earlier in the segment about talking about search, the Googles now know me even better because I have just been on this tear of watching late night talk show programs, like mainly Carson and Letterman.
Oh yeah, you love that.
I don't know why I'm just so infatuated with it. But now it's like suggesting me these things that are interesting, and I've discovered a lot of Bill Burr. I never really watched Bill Burr.
Oh yeah,
and he's fucking hysterical.
Yeah.
So like I've watched like some roll-ups of him, some compilations of him on Conan and some of his stand-up. It's been really fun. So I was literally over the weekend, my children just wanted to play outside. I go outside to quote watch them, which is a small word for keep them from getting hit by a car. And I was just watching Bill Burr on my phone, like sitting in front of my house like a hillbilly, and my neighbors are like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Kids are riding their bikes. I'm watching Bill Burr. Fuck off." And that was basically my weekend. It was lovely.
What did you do before YouTube? You are such a creature
I'm
of
not.
YouTube.
No, I'm
which
really,
I think is cool.
I'm really not. I have become that from this show.
The nice thing is that you can get shows from any time period.
Yes.
You can see things that we would never rerun again.
Like, why would you keep these catalogs? Like, why would you keep Carson tapes in the dark? Let me watch those things.
Yeah.
And I love seeing that stuff. And all the new quote unquote content creation stuff, I think, is mainly garbage. There's so little things that are new.
I don't. I think there's some great new stuff.
There's some great stuff, but as a proportion, most of it's garbage. And I'm sure most of the old stuff is garbage too. There's plenty of old, I guess.
Well, yeah, it shows a survivor bias.
Yeah, of course. So, but like, instead of going and watching some 23-minute video that's the unboxing of a fucking Apple Vision Pro, and I want to blow my brains out 30 seconds in, I'm going to go watch Don Rickles on Carson. Like, that to me is gold. And I love that's all, again, search and retrieval. It's all there for me to watch.
I think this is kind of a golden age of stand-up comedy again. For some reason, I think we have a
Yeah, what happened?
There are a lot of young stand-up comics that I find very funny.
Yeah.
I haven't thought that for a long time, but there are some really talented people coming
I
out.
don't know if I'd put Bill into the young category. But
No, not at all.
Anyway, he's funny. He makes me laugh. How about you? What have you watched?
Reluctant Traveler Season 2, curmudgeon Eugene Levy, who doesn't like to travel, is sent to the most exotic, remarkable hotels around the world.
Love it.
And explores places and cultures surrounding them.
I think you plugged season 1. You liked season 1 too,
I'm sure
right?
I did. It's
Yeah, yeah.
such a fun idea. Someone who absolutely is so uncomfortable outside of his own culture and outside of his own house.
Yeah.
It's great fun. Season 1 included Costa Rica, Finland, Italy, Japan, the Maldives, Portugal, South Africa, and the United States. The second season is the ultimate European vacation.
He might be the only person that likes going out of his house less than you. I feel like you're right up there. He's a reluctant traveler. You're like the reluctant shopper. Every time you go to Whole Foods, you're just like, God damn it, I don't want to be here. Look at all these people.
I don't love grocery shopping.
I got to park. You dislike going out of the house at all.
A friend of mine had this thing, and he said, if you could travel, anywhere in time, what concert would you go back?
Okay.
What concert would you go and see?
Bach.
And that was really an interesting question.
Okay,
I thought.
what'd you say?
And his answer was Live Aid
yeah.
in London,
Yeah.
which is such a great choice. I said, the Beatles at the Hollywood Bowl. The Hollywood Bowl I can get to in about 5 minutes. I like time travel. I just don't like real travel.
That's a great question. I would not do the Beatles. I would probably do one of the Woodstocks, either the OG or 99.
Why wouldn't you do the OG? Only bring a waterproof things and tents and your own food.
Yeah, what were they thinking? Or like, what, going to a music festival? You just like hang out and live in nature?
I don't think anybody expected rain.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
Eugene Levy and the Reluctant Traveler, Season 2 on Apple TV Plus now.
I really do want to check that out. I'm going to do my damnedest to turn it on and watch it.
That is the episode.
Thank you for joining us for all this nonsense, a truly terrible podcast from our awful company. Visit us on the web at nonsense.productions. I'm Stu.
I'm Jeff Parker.
If you like this program, please follow, download, subscribe, and like it at Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, AntennaPod, iHeartRadio, Spotify, my favorite Overcast, or wherever you get your podcasts from.
Nonsense is produced using the Outdoor Multi-Track Digital Audio Workstation. Amazing, full-featured software, open source and free. This trick where you can understand me talking while music plays underneath is done with Outdoor. Special thanks to our floor director, Jay Farina.
Thank you, Jay. We'll be here every Thursday morning for more nonsense. Please join us. What's the biggest thing we've underrated so far? Voltage?
Yes, of these two wires right here. Don't touch them. Don't touch them. Don't touch them.
The sticker says 12 volts. Nope, that's underrated.
Nope, it's underrated. It's underrated.
That was really funny. I think I hurt myself laughing at that, to be honest.